Hi all, welcome to the second of the Wave 23 attack wing reviews, and we have this one, which is the IRW Imperial Romulan Warbird Jazkal from Enterprise. Cracking little model, this one. It's got weathering. We've got two-tone green colour scheme on the nacelles here. I think this is a really good little miniature. Good detail on the top of the ship. Some really nice paneling detail, paneling lines. Nacelles are pretty straight as well, which is really cool. There we go, front view on that. And to the rear, and just drop that off there, oh well. And to the rear as well, it's all pretty hunky-dory. The stand's a little bit off, to be fair, but it looks like it's giving it a slight bank, so that's fine. Underneath of the model, just so we can have a bit of comparison on that one as well. A very nice bit of detail, very nice. Really impressed with this one, looks cracking. So, shall we talk about the ship itself? I think that's probably a good idea. It's an Enterprise ship, so immediately you know that the stats on this are going to be lower. We have a forward firing arc, no rear firing arc, an attack of 2, an agility of 2, a hull of 3, and no shields. As for your features, you have evade, target lock, and scan. Those of you who are, of course, familiar with the Romulans will know that there is a feature which is missing from this one, which you would assume would be on most Romulan ships. But we shall come to that shortly. Okay, right, let's take a look at the stats on this little thing. So, Imperial Romulan Warbird Jazkal. There we go, and its manoeuvre, as we said on the AMAR video, it has exactly the same manoeuvres as this ship. The two of them are pretty much identical, as is the Montgolfier, also from this round. Anyway, standard stats as per the ship. 14-point ship, so it's a really low points vessel. You've got 1 tech, 1 weapon, and 1 crew. Interestingly, if we look back at the AMAR, one thing I didn't cover with that one was that actually there were no tech upgrades, there was no elite action with that ship as well, which is really unusual. But I'll come to that in a minute. Unique ship, the Jazkal Romulan, 14 points. While there is a scan token beside your ship, you cannot be targeted by any elite upgrades, and you roll 1 extra defense dice against all attacks made with weapon upgrades. Cracking. So you might not have a brilliant shield position with that 0 that you've got there on the card. So you've only got 3 hull points to kind of deal with. But if you're just continuously using your action as a scan, you can't be attacked by anything with an elite, and you get to roll, well, you get to roll 3 die in attack, in defense, sorry, against anything that's made with a weapon upgrade. So it kind of limits people to maybe attack you with only their primary weapon, as opposed to any of the weapon upgrades. It means you're not going to get attacked by photon torpedoes. It may mean you get attacked by photon torpedoes, but you've got a greater defense opportunity with this card. As I said, the manoeuvres are pretty much the same for the whole of Wave 23. Speed of up to 4, 3 with a full set of manoeuvres. You've got your banks, your curving, and your full 180s at 3. You've got your green manoeuvres at 2 and 1, plus a full set of manoeuvres at 2, excluding the old 180 turn. For the generic ship, you don't actually lose any points on this one. It's still at 14 points because there's no shields that they can reduce on this. But you do lose your crew upgrade, so you end up with 1 tech and 1 weapon. You also lose the scan upgrade, which is an interesting one. So you don't have that option, of course, which is key to this ship getting an extra bit of defense. So I'm not sure if you would ever want to go down to the generic version of this craft. Still 0, still 3, still 2, still 2. 14 points, generic version. I would never play this. I would honestly never play this. For the same cost, you might as well just have this one. Okay, over to the captain of the Jazkal. And the captain of the Jazkal is Mr. Generic, who is actually a TNG Romulan from the episode Next Phase. This guy also played Croesus in Descent TNG 2-parter, for reference, but there you go. He's 1 point, generic captain. We toss him off pretty much every time we talk about them, but at least you've seen it. And the other one is Vrax. So Vrax is a 3-skill captain, as was, if you remember back to the AMAR, Barak was a 3-skill, but Barak also cost 2, but you didn't get the option of elite action with Barak, which was quite interesting when you compare him to this guy. So Vrax is a 3, cost 2, has the elite action option on his card. You can deploy the Riemann bodyguards upgrade to your ship for a cost of 2 SP, so that's 2 squadron points less, even if it exceeds your ship's restrictions. So the Romulan bodyguards actually costs 5, so if you have it with Vrax it will cost you 3. I will come to this one straight after because we'll go through the crew options. But with this one you are getting quite a good benefit of having the Riemann bodyguards at the cost, even if you've got, I'm guessing the way I would read this is if you've got all your crew slots filled, you can still apply this. So you can have 1 crew slot on the Jazkal. So if you fill that with, say, Nigil, who's your other crew option with this pack, you could then have the Riemann bodyguards on there, even though you've still got that crew slot filled, which is really useful actually. You are getting an option of effectively increasing your ship complement size over what you should technically be allowed to do. So yeah, really nice idea. Only costs you 2 points and you are going to get sort of benefits. Effectively you're getting him and the elite action option for the cost of the Riemann bodyguards card, which is pretty cool. So back to that Riemann bodyguards card, which is this one. You can discard this card to target a ship at range 1 when attacking that ship with your primary weapon this round. Gain 1 extra attack die and force the defending ship to roll 1 less defense dice. You can't equip more than one of these. It was great that Enterprise kind of recognised the Riemanns. It was a shame that, of course, there was a big gap between Enterprise and Nemesis time-wise in the series. So it was a kind of a bit of a disjointed thing between the two. But hey, you know, they weren't to know whether when they created them, they were going to bring them back and use them in the prequel series. 5 point cost for this one. 3 points if you use it with Vrax, the captain on the who comes with the Jazkal. Nice that you're going to gain 1 extra attack dice. So that's going to take your points up to a 3 on attack. Let's bring that in. A 3 on attack, and your opponents are going to lose 1 defense dice when you use them. It is quite expensive, and it is a discard, and you can only use it at range 1. So you've only got 1 shot to use this at range 1, and it's a complete gamble, to be honest. Nice idea. We shall see how it works, but I think there are other ways you could do it. There are disable cards that will give you kind of features like this. I think with a Riemann bodyguards card, I would have hoped it would have been a disable, maybe even with the time tokens to have been able to use this multiple times during the game, because you would want to be able to redeploy them. So I'm not greatly convinced with this one. Your other crew option is also a 5 point card, and it's Nigil. He can add 1 tech upgrade to your upgrade bar, so it means you go up to 2 if you were using the Jazkal as the ship. That one costs 1 less squadron point, and it must be a Romulan tech upgrade. Fair enough. His action when defending this round, during the revolve defense dice, you can disable him and 1 of your tech upgrades to roll extra defense dice. So he offers you the ability to put extra, a twofold benefit with this guy. He means you can actually put another upgrade there, and then you can still have 1 left that you can use while you're using him to be disabled to then add an extra defense dice in. So it means you can now go up to 3 on your defense. It's an interesting one because you're still not gaining anything on your shield. At this point there's no benefit to the ship itself. You are just making yourself a little bit more defensible, but you've still not got a lot to play with. So moving on, let's go over to the elite action, because we talked about this a couple of times. Destabilized relations when attacking a ship at range 3, so that's your first range you've got. If there is another opposing ship within range 1 to 2 of the target ship, the defending ship rolls 2 less defense dice against your attack. Notice a theme here with this pack, that everything you're getting is actually either increasing the number of attack dice you've got or removing the number of defense dice your opponent has. So even though you've got a low hull score, no shields, very low initial agility and attack, you're then getting extra benefits which are making it easier to attack your opponent. It is a 5 points for this one, but look at this. It isn't one that you need to disable. It isn't one you need to discard. This is an elite action you can continue to use and use and use and use if you're at range 3. So it is a really good card to use. 5 points, particularly on these smaller craft. This one's going to be a really big bonus to yourselves. Okay, over to the next one. We're going to go to weapons. We'll go to disruptor banks. So disruptor banks works in the same way as to some degree as photon torpedoes. It does increase your primary weapon effectively from 2 to 3. You can only fire it from your forward firing arc, as it says in there, and it's the 3-time token procedure that you would have with the photon torpedoes. Range 1 to 3 it's effective on. It costs you 4 points. But what you can do is, if you use it, you can either do the 3-time tokens when you perform your attack, and therefore recharge after 3 goes, or when defending, you can roll the attack dice step. During the roll the attack dice step, you can discard the card and force your opponent to roll two less attack dice. Again, another one that is forcing opponents to reduce the amount that they attack with, or reducing the amount they defend with. So here you have the option to either use it as a standard weapon or lessen the attack. So if you've got a big ship like Negvar, or another sort of 4 or 5 attack dice ship, or maybe if you're even attacking something like DS9, it's going to reduce the number of attack dice down and stun you a better step. And why you would ever attack DS9 with this, I would dread to think. But yeah, nice one. Good that it's got the option that you can either use it continuously or discard it to get a sort of a big bonus. Finally, and the thing that kind of you will have noticed was missing from the ship itself, is prototype cloaking device. So you disable this card to perform the cloak action as a free action, even if you have no active shields, which is pretty cool. You roll an attack dice, but on a battle station result, you get 1 damage to your hull. Remember, you've only got 3 to start with. While your ship is cloaked, you can perform the sensor echo move. It's a bit like the prototype cloaking device that you've got on the Pegasus, in that when you use it, there is potentially a risk of causing yourselves more damage than it's worth. With a hull of 3, you've only got to get it wrong once or twice, and it's going to really impact your game. In fact, if you get it wrong at all, it's going to really impact your game, because you've only got 3 points to deal with. 4 points for it, understandable. If you're playing this, it means you might end up with one Romulan ship that just isn't cloaked, because it's just not a great manoeuvre. And I know you can't just get a normal cloaking device card for Romulan ship, because most of them are equipped with it already. So definitely one to kind of be concerned with and have a play with. But yeah, I understand why it's on a card, because it's the Enterprise era, but you're taking a risk if you use it. Of course, there's an additional rules card in there, as there is with all the packs. I don't usually show one of these, but there you go. But the mission this time is a 2-player mission. It's a Federation ship in a minefield, and effectively you are replaying Minefield. And it's to escape it. So you have a Romulan ship and a Federation ship, and the aim of the game, if I just pull this card over, the aim of the game is effectively for the Romulan player to destroy the Federation ship. It includes it if it's destroyed by a mine. The Federation player wins if he gets out of the cloak, if he gets out of the minefield, or if the Romulan ship is destroyed by the mines. Interestingly, you can use 50 points, which includes 2 Romulan ships. At least one of them has to be a Romulan bird of prey, and they can't have a hull value of greater than 3. So you could use your scout vessels, science vessels as well for those kind of things. The Federation ship is one of them, and it's got to be 35 points. You can't deploy upgrades that allow it to be removed from the play area, which is obviously understandable, seeing as you've got the minefield, and the mines themselves, they do move. So it's quite a little bit of a cat and mouse game. It's a bit of a variation on the Pegasus mission / Bajor and Solar Sailor one, where you are moving the mines around continuously, or the asteroids, and then sort of trying to make sure you get out of there with at least some sort of bit of your ship left intact. Okay, so that's it for the Jazkal. It's an alright pack. It's very underpowered. You are taking more advantage of your opponents than you are of yourself. So you are end up playing around with their stats more than you play around with yours. I've equipped him with Vrax there, just to show us it with the stand on. Yeah, nice little model. Not a bad little pack. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna get to play this, because usually I'm using sort of more TNG, DS9, Voyager era ships rather than the Enterprise era. But we'll see how it goes. For reference, we have already covered the IKS AMA, the Imperial Klingon ship AMA, which was quite an interesting little one. Again, fairly underpowered, and we are going to be finishing off with the USS Montgolfier, which is a Federation Sabre class ship. So that's going to be coming up next. Until then, it's been a pleasure as always. Drop us a note, tell me what you think about these packs. Have you used them? Have you played them? Are they any good? Are they rubbish? And I will talk to you soon.
Transfer complete.